So this is the next pattern that I'm going to talk you through working. I call it Stripey for obvious reasons. The working that I've got here is teal and white. It is actually the same pricking as the previous pattern. So the previous pattern is the tartan pattern. However, there's a number of things that you need to watch on this pattern. So this pattern, if your tension isn't right, if your tension isn't even, so your left tension is different to your right tension, this pattern is going to show that up. If your pricking isn't consistent, it will show up on this pattern. So in a way, it's a bit of a cruel pattern, you could say, to give you as an early pattern to work on. But getting those things is really important right from the start. So let me take you to the pricking first, and I'm going to try and zoom in to the pricking. Okay, so I've zoomed into the pricking. Now, it used to be really nice and easy before everybody started using blue and sticky, because you'd tell people that when they're finished, you shouldn't be able to see any black dots on your paper when you lift your paper off your pricking card. But now that we use blue sticky, it's not nearly as easy to see that. But if you look carefully at my pricking around this area here, you can see that I've got two holes there, and that's where I've gone back and I've re-pricked. Now, sometimes with the pricking, I turn it over when I've pricked it, and what I'm looking for here is that the lines are consistent, that the lines really show up consistently. But I can also see on some of these, I have got extra dots where I've gone back, but I can see those lines. So actually, my pricking looks quite accurate. And this is the advantage of pricking in advance rather than pricking as you go on something like Torchon. If you prick as you go, the chances are that your finished lace will not be even. And on this pattern, that really does make a difference. So it takes time to prick, but actually if you spend that time in preparation, your work will be better in the long run. So just to take you through the working diagram for this piece, it's in two colours. The A's and the B's at the top are the different threads. So for me, A was the teal colour and B was the white colour, and it's equal numbers of each. Now you'll notice that most of the stitches are red stitches. So they're cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist. But you'll notice along the top that that's not the case, that they are half stitch, pin, half stitch. So a green stitch, like on the last pattern, and a green stitch below, half stitch before, pin, half stitch afterwards. And the reason for that is so that I could be sure, partly to be sure that the colours were coming through correctly. But also, if you start off with working with a cloth stitch and twist before the pin and a cloth stitch and twist after the pin, it actually doesn't sit very well in terms of your pattern and your working. That one above really does want to move. So by using half stitch, pin, half stitch, actually we end up with a much neater pattern for our work. Everything else then is a red stitch, and red is cloth stitch and twist, is a red cross. So that would be cross stitch and twist, pin, cover the pin with cloth stitch and twist. And like on the previous pattern, there is a line that goes down on this, that travels on the pricking. And actually for this one, in terms of the work, the stitch means that actually it is a pair that travels down the diagonal. Just to say that over here, I've been a bit slapdash happy with my drawing. I'm not a drawer. Future working diagrams will be computer generated. But yeah, that is the same as the other side, even though it looks like it's not. It is still half stitch, pin, half stitch. I've just lost my line a bit at that point. So I'm now going to go ahead and start working this piece. And as with the previous pattern, as with Tartan, I'll have the working diagram on screen the whole of the time that I'm doing that. So in working this pattern, I'm going to have two different colours. I'm not going to do the teal coloured that I did in my sample. And the reason for that is I want something, following a comment that a student made, that is going to contrast with the colour of the pricking. And the teal and some of the greens don't particularly show up. So I'm going to be using red as my A and white as my B bobbins. So I'm going to start off at the top. So I'm going to put, as before, I always like to hang my bobbins on temporary pins above my work to set them up. Okay, doesn't matter if they're accurate or not at this point. So I start off with a green stitch. So it's half stitch, pin, half stitch. So let me work that now. Half stitch, pin, half stitch, and then release. 1, 2, and bring the bobbins down. Okay, so my temporary pin's gone back. So the next one along, according to my working diagram, is also an A, so also a red. So let me hang my next red on the temporary pin. Okay, so again, it's the half stitch, the green stitch, pin, half stitch. So cross, twist, pin, cross, twist. And just like with the previous pattern, I am not lifting my purse up to put pins in. I am sliding up the pricking. This one is a bit long in comparison with the others, so I'm just quickly going to put my pin in the loop and shorten it so that it's a similar length now to the others. Let's lengthen that one a little bit too. Okay, so the third one along is a B. So a B is a white. So I've already got the pin above. Actually, let me move it a bit closer. Sorry, I've just realised you can't see that. So let me just move very slightly further up. Okay. So pin just above the work, which you can see. So again, it's half stitch, pin, half stitch, cross, twist, and then put my pin, release, and put my pin back in. So that's that B added. So then there's another B. So there's another white to add. So again, on the temporary pin, and it's half stitch, slide my pin up again, half stitch, release, and carefully bring it down. Okay, so the next one then is an A. So an A is a red. So it feels very strange, the coloured combination, as you're adding them, but it does start to work once you get past this first row. So half stitch, pin, half stitch, and release. Now, this last one is the only one that is different. So it's a red stitch. It's a cloth and twist, pin, cloth and twist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little hole in my pricking, just with my pin, just above where I need it, because I'm not going to do this one as a temporary pin. I'm going to leave this pin in. I might take it out just a bit later, but yeah, that's the point at which I want it to sit. So, and this time I'm going to do a red stitch, and that red stitch is cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist. So it's a red cross, a pin, and then a second red cross. So cloth stitch and twist is cross, twist, cross, twist, pin, cross, twist, cross, twist, and tension. Okay, so that's all the bobbins added on one side. So let me carefully move everything over to the other side of the pillow so that I can add on this side. So I'm going to add in exactly the same way. So I'm going to start off by adding a red. So I've got the two A's at the top, and the next one I need to add here is an A, and again I add it as half stitch, pin, half stitch, and release. Okay, so then I've got a B and a B to add. So they're my two whites. That's half stitch, pin, half stitch and release. And then another white. Let me move that temporary one closer so that you can definitely see it. So it's half stitch, pin, half stitch and release. So then we're on to the next one, which is an A, which is a red one again. So same thing, half stitch, pin, half stitch and release. Okay, and then we've got one final one to do, which is the one that's different like that side. So rather than adding in half stitch, we're adding in cloth stitch and twist. So again, I'm going to do what I did on the other side, and I'm going to put a little pinhole in just above those two pinholes as a permanent pin. Okay, so white on there, and then do cloth stitch and twist. So that's cross, twist, pin, cross, twist. Okay, so I've now got all my bobbins on the pillow. So the first thing I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm going to get everything a similar length. So I'm going to cut the video while I'm doing that, and when I come back to my pillow, you will see that my bobbins are all the same or a similar length, and that's just the way that I like to work. So you can see now, looking at the working diagram, that everything else is worked as cloth stitch and twist, a red stitch, pin, cloth stitch and twist, a red cross. So let me start off by working that. And like with all lace, we tend to start at the top of a diagonal, because that means we've got the pairs coming in from either side. If we started there, we wouldn't have the pair that's coming in from that point. So let me separate my bobbins, being really careful all the time that they're not jumping over each other or anything like that. So cloth stitch and twist, cross, twist, cross, twist, pin, tension, stroke to tension, cross, twist, cross, twist, stroke to tension. And sometimes you find on the second half it hasn't got the pin to help you, but you do need to do a little bit of that sometimes. Okay, cloth stitch and twist is very difficult to tension afterwards, whereas you half stitch, you found that you can actually pull that quite far back. You can't on this. So next stitch, cloth stitch and twist. So I'm going to work along the diagonal on this side. So cross, twist, cross, twist, cloth stitch and twist, pin, tension, cross, twist, cross, twist, tension. And I do need to do a bit more on that one to tension it. Push that one out of the way, take the next one along the diagonal down. Cross, twist, cross, twist for cloth stitch and twist, pin, cross, twist, tension. Okay, so I am constantly tensioning my my work as I'm going through this. Next one, cloth stitch and twist, cross, twist, cross, twist, pin, cross, twist, cloth stitch and twist. Carry on down the diagonal, cross, twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist, cross, twist, tension. And I am tensioning in between, even though I might not always be telling you. Cross, twist, tension after putting the pin in. And you do need the pin to be in, because then you can, you've got something that you're tensioning against. Cross, twist. Okay, so you should start to see that this white one does fall quite nicely along that diagonal. I'm going to leave that little pin that I put in as a temporary pin in until I've got a bit further, because otherwise it will pull the start of the work down. So I'm then going to move my bobbins along, and I'm going to go to the top of the next diagonal to work this complete diagonal in exactly the same way. And this is why, because you're working one diagonal down, you're working this diagonal rather than that diagonal. This is why sometimes you can find that it can be a bit uneven in your work with this stitch. So, and because everything's cloth and twist, it highlights it. So, cloth stitch and twist, cross, twist, pin, cross, twist, tension. Repeat, cloth, cross, twist, pin. And always remember to cover, cross, twist. So what you should find as you're working is that down this central line, you will have a row of pure red stitches. You'll then have, a column of mixed, then a white, then a mixed, then a white is how it will work. And that will give you the stripes. Cross, twist, pin, cross, twist, tension. Okay, and I am watching that and pulling each of those evenly. I'm not different tensions. Cross, twist, pin, cross, twist, then definitely tension. So repeat, cross, twist, so pin and smooth, so that smoothing is your tension on the first half, helped by the pin. Cross, twist, and spread them, separate them out. And you do really need to be doing that both at the same time. And next one along, cross, twist, pin, cross, twist, tension. And finally, cross, twist, pin, cross, twist. Okay, so you can see that white following that diagonal down. So I'm now going to carefully move everything along and to the top of the diagonal. So this time I'm not going to talk in crosses and twists, I'm going to talk in terms of the stitches. So it's cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist and tension, and repeat. Cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist and tension. Okay, so I'm being really careful with that tension. Cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist, and repeat. Cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist and tension. So that one jumped. Okay, so next one along. Just need a few more pins. Okay, cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist and tension. And again, cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist and tension. Okay, cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist, and finally cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist and tension. So that's going to continue throughout the whole of the pattern. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the video and I'm going to get to that point there, because this when you start in a new row it feels like it's slightly different. So I'll be back shortly to look at how to start those rows. So we've worked that long diagonal row. We're now ready to work that pin there, which is red stitch, cloth and twist, pin, red stitch, cloth and twist. So let me work that. So it's the 2 pairs that are at the top, and it's cloth stitch and twist, pin, cloth stitch and twist and tension. So that's going to send that white bobbin down that row. One thing to mention at this point is, as a beginner, my advice to you all is that you work in consistent diagonals. When you're experienced, yes, you can start mixing the ways that you're doing it. But as a beginner, if you're not sticking to a consistent way of doing things, you will make mistakes. You will leave pairs dangling where they shouldn't be. So yeah, just keep an eye on what you're doing throughout the pattern, and can keep with these diagonal rows. The other thing to mention is that you might think that this pattern is taking you a lot more time than any other pattern that you've done, and that's correct. There are actually twice as many stitches, twice as many hand movements in this pattern in its working than in the previous pattern that I showed you, Tartan. So Tartan is half stitch, cross twist, pin, cross twist. This one is cross twist, pin, cross twist, and that's the end of the stitch. So you can, if you count the crosses and twists, there's twice as many in there as other patterns. So I'm going to carry on working this pattern right the way down to the very last row of the pricking. So I'm not going to work the very last row. I'll come back, look at the working diagram, and then look at how you would finish off. So in terms of my lace, I'm at the point where I have one pin left along that leading diagonal, the last one before the pins run out. If I look at the working diagram, the outside pairs, and when we come to work those stitches, are exactly the same as the rest of the work. They are worked as cross stitch and twist, pin, cross stitch and twist. However, the pins then along the last diagonal row on each side are all worked half stitch, pin, half stitch. So this one that I've got here is worked cross stitch and twist, pin, tension, cross stitch and twist and tension. Okay, and then I'll go back up to the top and repeat that on the rest of them. So in between where there is no working diagram, that's because that's exactly the same. I know the outside's the same as well, but I obviously wanted to make the point that was different. So I will continue on with the lace and cut the video at this point. So I've now done that last diagonal row, and what you can see is if I pull that the bobbin that sits along the diagonal, it is pulling along the diagonal, whereas I wouldn't have seen that with any of the other bobbins. So the finish for this is identical to the finish on the previous video that I did, so tartan. So I'm not going to talk you through that again. I am going to work it and I'm going to keep the recorder going, but I'm not actually going to talk to it. If you want the instructions, the instructions are on the previous video. So I will get you to the end of this pattern just by working through it. So first of all, let me get rid of the working diagram, which I no longer need, and I will now be quiet while I do the work that's on here to get me to the end. But you can go to the previous video, look at the more information, which has got the timings, and look at the end of that for the finishing off of the bookmark. Okay, so all the lace is now done. So I'm going to lift the bobbins up. I'm going to pass under, watching not to pull it too high, and then I'm going to do a collection knot, or rather 2 collection knots. So remember, a collection knot is where you put that extra twist on. So you right over left and through again and pull. Okay, left over right this time and through, and just once and stop. Right, so that's now that first one tightened. So let me just now pull everything else back as much as I can into line, and then repeat that. So right over left and through again. And left over right and through and tighten. Okay, so that's given you a neat end to your bookmark. So now you would cut the bobbins off. I tend to cut them off quite as long as I can, and shorten it later on to the appropriate length. In terms of when to take the pins out on this one, actually it will be quite well set, so you don't actually have to wait too long to take your pins out to have your complete bookmark in your hand.